Thank you, Andre. I am proud to have this person on our board of directors for Denver Kids. Unfortunately, amongst all the hoopla, I do not have her bio anymore. All I know is that she's extremely smart. She went to these Ivy League schools, Columbia, Harvard, Princeton, something of that order. And she has a startup organization called Havenly that I've actually used. It's a virtual interior design company. I would recommend you check it out to upgrade your homes from one generation to the next. Without further ado, I just want to introduce Lee Mayer, board member, Denver Kids. Anyway, I'm going to be quiet. Lee, round of applause.
Oh, no. Thanks, Billy. You do your best. So I'm going to get out from the podium a little, walk around. So as Billy mentioned, I'm Lee Mayer. I have been on the board of Denver Kids for a couple years. I've been a mentor to Talia, who's in middle school, for a couple years. And I have to tell you guys, first and foremost, to all of the people that are graduating today, congratulations. I don't know all of you, but I've heard many of your stories. What you guys have accomplished in the face of circumstances I can only imagine is phenomenal. And I am just so proud of you, and I hope you guys are proud of yourselves. And that, by the way, is the most important thing I'm going to say for the next 10 minutes. So if you want to check your phones, you can do that too. So to get started, I'm so honored to be here. I was so dumbfounded when Mark and Michelle asked me to speak today, partially because I felt like I wasn't that much older than you all. I could still remember being in your shoes. And then I told my husband this, and he promptly reminded me that the year that I graduated from high school was probably the year that many of you were born, 18 years ago. So I guess I am actually that old. And just to put it into context, actually, because I sort of took a step back and I looked at where I was when I was 17. So, the year that I graduated from high school, let me see if this works here. No. Try it again. Hold on. Sorry, technical difficulties. There we go. A man named Sean Carter released his first major label album as Jay-Z. Donald Trump was not running for president, but was building casinos. And the Denver Broncos had just won the Super Bowl. So I guess not that much has changed. And something else that I'm pretty sure hasn't changed from when I was 17 and sitting in your shoes and graduating from high school is the fact that a lot of adults are going to give you a lot of advice. And they're well-meaning people, and they're going to tell you things about the future and what you should do, sisters, brothers, parents, teachers, friends. And if you're anything like me, you will listen politely and then completely forget about it. However, when I look back at the last 18 years, I realized that a couple of pieces of advice made it through my thick brain and have helped me become who I am. And so I'm going to relay those two pieces of advice to you. I'm not smart enough to have come up with them myself, but I think they really sort of helped me grow as a person. But first, I want to tell you a little bit about me, since Billy did an okay job. You're totally fine. You're totally fine. That is true. Factually accurate. It's good that intro was a little bit grandiose anyway for me. So let me tell you a little bit about me. So I grew up in the suburbs of Washington, D.C., in a town called Darnestown, Maryland. Now, back in the day, when I started elementary school, and that's me in elementary school, and you could sort of see my classmates, I actually looked different from everyone in school. I had darker skin. English is my second language, so I didn't speak English very well. I had a funny accent. And I was the outsider. Have anyone here, have any of you guys felt like an outsider? Raise your hands. Ever felt like you didn't fit in? Yeah. That felt really horrible as a kid. I remember coming home crying, feeling like I didn't fit in, no one liked me, I didn't have friends. But one of the things, I wouldn't have it any other way, because one of the things that I realized is it created a drive in me to prove myself, to do better. And so many of you guys, I feel like, have that same drive. You all have overcome things that are hard. And I think that that is one of those things that I hope you hold on to as you get older. But enough about you, going back to me. So I graduated. I went to high school, and I graduated high school, and I remember sitting in your seats, and the world was just such a possibility. I was going to be a rock star, or an actress, or a world-famous author, or a CEO. I had so many dreams. And I went to Columbia for undergrad. And then I went to business school. I went to Harvard for my MBA. And those were times of incredible possibility, and I learned a lot from a lot of smart people. And then I graduated, and instead of becoming a rock star, or an actress, or a world-famous author, I became an investment banker, which, and some of you in the room, I'm sure, are in the finance profession. It's a wonderful profession. But it isn't anything close to what I had sort of expected to be doing. I spent a lot of my days in and out of meetings, looking at Excel spreadsheets, dealing with companies that weren't particularly inspiring to me at the time. And so I turned 30, and I quit my job. And so for those of you that don't have parents like mine, let me just tell you what my parents said. They said I was crazy. They said that I was doing the wrong thing, that I was leaving a job that I was frankly lucky to have, that I had all this education, and I really shouldn't be thinking about starting this, quote, little interior design company, because I was sacrificing stability and money for something that was sort of unclear, unsure. But here's what I saw at the time. I saw a $100 billion industry that no one had innovated again in for many years. I heard from all of my friends that they wanted a new model to do their home, to decorate their homes. And I just felt like there was something there. There was something there, there was an idea there was an opportunity there, and I felt like I was the girl to do it. And I knew nothing about interior design. I knew nothing about technology. I knew nothing about starting my own company. But the good news is, I'm kind of stupid. I'm stupid enough to not believe that I can't do it. So I was naive, and I went online, and I registered the domain name, and I took some online courses, and I built my first website. And I hired my couple of people, and I sort of boldly asked for meetings with some of the country's top venture capitalists. And I did that because I didn't know better. I didn't know what the risks were at the time. And it kind of worked. I mean, we've still got a long way to go. Havenly's got a long way to go. But most recently, we now provide jobs for over 300 people. We've just recently raised $13 million from some of the area and the country's top venture capitalists. And in our second year of business, we will do over $20 million in revenue. And I'm doing that all before the age of 35. And so what does that have to do with you? What does that have to do with you? So I promised you a couple of pieces of advice, because these are the two things that I remember from when I was graduating from high school. And so that's my team, by the way. Aren't they adorable? And so the first one is, you guys are going to go to college. You're going to get jobs. You're going to acquire what Andre sort of referred to as wisdom. And over the course of that, what will start to happen is what you know will take the place of what you notice. So I'm going to actually ask you guys, so are y'all awake back there? Everyone's awake? I'm going to ask you to do this little presentation, this little piece along with me. So you'll see on the screen here, so you'll see a number of words, and they're talking about colors. And so what I want you to do all together now, I want you to read the words to me. So just read the words together, starting from blue. So blue. Awesome. Y'all can read. That's awesome. Very proud of you. And now I want you to do something different. I want you to ignore what the words say, and I want you to read the colors to me in a row. So tell me what the colors are in sequence. All together now. I'll try it again. Yeah. I mean, you did pretty well, actually. I've done this before, and yeah, yeah. So, interestingly enough, this is something that's the second time was a little harder, I'm guessing, for most of you. This is an interesting exercise. So it turns out this is an exercise that kids do better at. So the younger you are, the better you do at this exercise, the second exercise, than anything. And it's one of the strangest things. So do any of you guys have, do you have a 2 or a 3-year-old in your life? My husband's brother just had a baby and has a bunch of young kids. And I spent some time with him, and it's like a broken record. It's unbelievable. The only thing he asks is why. Why is the sky blue? Why is your hair brown? Why is 2 + 2 4? Why? 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 He notices everything. It's unbelievable. And I think one of the things that sort of dissipates from our lives as we get older and get more analytical and learn more and more stuff is we stop noticing things. We stop asking why. We stop considering the possibilities. And so the piece of advice that I was given, this is sort of a long-winded way of giving it to you, is remember to ask the question. So many times you get sort of forced into one lane, one avenue. And I think we don't ask the question why. So remember to do it. Should you be taking that job? Should you be going to that school? Should you be hanging out with that person? Whatever that is, just take the second to do it. And I promise you, you'll be able to see possibilities where they didn't exist before. The second piece of advice, so this is going to date me, because I know many of you are huge fans of Steph Curry, but when you're my height and have no basketball skills and grew up in the 90s, this guy is like a god. Does anyone know who he is? Yeah, Shaq. So I'm going to deliver you some advice. Oh, I was worried about that. I'm going to deliver you some advice that was delivered directly from that man himself. And so this is about, I'd say, the year 2000. And a woman I know was working with Shaq on his shoe line, on his new line of shoes. And so she was invited to dinner at his house, which of course I was incredibly jealous of. So the second I saw her the next time, I asked her to tell me all about it. And she talked about his house and him. At the time he was married, I think he still is. And what she told me, this story that was super interesting. So this was the year 2000. Shaquille O'Neal had won, I think, all 3 MVP titles, so NBA Finals and All-Star Game. Pretty impressive, right? And she went to his house and she saw on his wall there were like a lot of pictures of him and his friends and him and Michael Jordan. But she realized there were no trophies. Those things. He didn't have them displayed anywhere at the home. So kind of as a joke, she was like, Shaq, where are the trophies? Where's the bling? And he told a really interesting story. He said that when he was growing up, his dad would when he won sports trophies, his dad would allow him to display them in the home for 1 month only. And then they'd go down into the basement. And can anyone think of why? I mean, it was just phenomenal to me. Can anyone think of why? So the reason was, his dad believed that if you were constantly looking at the past, you couldn't plan for the future. And if you weren't planning for the future, you couldn't go on to do bigger and bigger things. Simple, right? And so I think for so many of us, we think about the past. We let our failures and successes of our past dictate so much of what we do in the future. For you guys sitting here today, graduating, here's the important lesson. Celebrate today. You guys have done an amazing thing. You've come along an amazing journey. Celebrate it. Take the time, take the month to celebrate it. And then look at the future. What are you going to do? Who are you going to be? What are you going to start? Don't let the past dictate the destiny. Let the future dictate your destiny. And that's really all I have to say. So congratulations again, all of you. Really, really proud of you.